Hello, my name is Samantha Herring, and today I would like to discuss with you my findings after implementing a closed reading program with a student that struggles with reading comprehension. These are my findings. Andrew is an 8th grade student attending middle school. He is the youngest of 3 brothers. Andrew began struggling with his reading in early elementary school. After struggling with his reading for a couple of years, his parents finally requested that he be tested for a learning disability. It was determined that he did qualify for special education services when he was in the 4th grade. His parents were told that he has a form of dyslexia. They then put him on an individualized education plan. While receiving special ed services, Andrew did increase his basic reading level. Andrew is very social and has many friends. His strengths are verbal comprehension, social skills, and he works hard to get good grades. Andrew continues to struggle with his reading comprehension. He is very good at masking his struggles in the general classroom. He will often ask his peers for help when he is struggling. Because of his verbal comprehension skills, he can listen to a lecture in the general classroom and be able to retain the majority of the information. After assessing Andrew with the quantitative reading inventory and observations of him reading, I determined that the goal for him and course standard that we will be working on with him is based around reading comprehension, which is a struggle for him. The Utah core standard is Reading Literature Standard 10. By the end of the year, read and comprehend literature, including stories, drama, and poems, at the high end of grades 6 through 8 text complexity, band independently and proficiently. The SPED goal for Andrew is in the regular classroom, when given a reading passage, Andrew will be able to read it and correctly answer 4 out of 5 comprehension questions correctly in 3 out of 5 opportunities given. Although on the QRI, his instructional level was on a 4th grade level, we started out using 5th grade passages. My original goal just stated that when given a passage, he will be able to read it. I would change that to state when given a 6th grade passage, he will be able to read it and correctly answer 4 out of 5 comprehension questions correctly. This would help with identifying my baseline as well as a more specific goal for us to work towards. I would also change 4 out of 5 comprehension questions to 8 out of 10 so that my closed reading passages can be used as the measurement. I gave him the qualitative reading inventory that I got from a teacher at my school. It has reading passages followed by comprehension questions for grade levels primer to 8th grade. Knowing that Andrew struggled with reading comprehension, I started at a 6th grade level, which he really struggled with. This was a frustration. It was a frustrating level for him. I then went down to a 4th grade reading passage, which ended up being his instructional level. The teacher that helped me told me to keep going until I reached an independent level for him. I proceeded to administer the 3rd grade level passage. He scored the independent level. From this assessment, I learned that I needed to start teaching the student using passages on a 4th grade level. The baseline data I used was from the QRI he was given at the beginning of our time together. The data I used to track his progress was the closed reading passages that he was given after each of our times together. As you can see, I have included the data chart I used to document his growth. I also included a column for the scores needed to achieve our goal. As I started to think about an intervention plan for Andrew, I remembered the reading intervention plan that we used for a lot of 8th grade students at my school. They use closed reading a lot, and so I decided to look into research involving closed reading and reading comprehension. I actually came across a couple articles about both, and it seemed like closed reading is actually mainly used for comprehension. This is when I chose to base my intervention plans around closed reading. My favorite article that I found was titled Comprehension Instruction for Tier 2 Early Learners, a scaffolded Apprenticeship for Closed Reading for Informational Text. In the abstract, it states that this exploratory case study uses a mixed methods pre/post intervention design to study the impact of an early intervention on reading comprehension, annotation, and discussion quality. 5 third grade struggling readers who were part of a Tier 2 reading comprehension group were apprenticed into holding closed reading discussions of informational text. The findings were that teachers often struggle to add discussion into their teaching, and closed reading was really helpful because it aided them with this and also helped the students with their comprehension. So, what is closed reading? Closed reading is when you give a small group of students, or one student in my case, a reading passage and have them read it multiple times. At the end, they answer comprehension questions on a worksheet. Each time the student looks for different things, and after each time they read it, you discuss what is read. For example, the students read the passage and circled any sections that they don't know or understand. Then they discuss together. The second time, they highlight and look up any words that they don't know. Then they discuss, and it goes on from there. One thing that I did with Andrew was I made him read the passages each time, so we did it 3 times total, and each time he was reading it aloud. I did that because I knew he had a strength in verbal comprehension. I asked him to read each passage and questions aloud so he could hear the words. This one strategy helped him a lot. It was fun to see him light up when he realized that it was helping him as well. I think he will use this strategy throughout his schooling. Another strategy I used with him is modeling the closed reading model. I would go through and use think alouds to model what I would do in reading. We would then do them together, and then by the end, I was releasing him to do them by himself. I am going to read you a couple of the tasks straight from my ICAP for the lesson plan. So in the beginning, or the anticipatory set, we are going to guide the student through the events that happened in previous chapters to refresh their memory, to refresh Andrew's memory. Then we'll have the student read a 6-page passage aloud. The teacher will stop and discuss every page or so. Every time student stops on a word he doesn't know, the student will highlight it. And then at the end, we will discuss what we have read. Let the students read again. Every page or so, stop and make sure that he is paying attention by asking prompting questions about something from the previous page. Reread the sections of text that students circled and guide him to understand what these sections mean, and then discuss with the student what the passage is about. And then, before the third time that we read the passage, we have the student read through the worksheet aloud so that we are sure that the student is comprehending what we're asking for the last time. And then this last time the student reads on his own. And then we have the student fill out the worksheet. The student will also highlight where, so on the worksheet they have to have 4 key details from the text. So that's, the student will write that down. The student will also, on the worksheet, there's a section for the student to write down any vocabulary words that he doesn't know. And that is the basics of closed reading, the way that I did it for Andrew. Andrew did show positive growth in comprehension through closed reading. He went from, on the 3rd of July, getting 3 out of 10 correct to getting 7 out of 10 correct. So there was that positive growth. He started on a 4th grade reading level, and at the end was when he answered the 7 out of 10 correctly, it was on a 5th grade reading level. After working with Andrew a few times, he was able to go up a level. The following data shows our time working with 5th grade passages. The gold line represents where I would expect him to be to achieve our goal. The blue line shows the growth he made during our short time together. Each dot represents a closed reading passage that I had him complete. Each time he was given a 5th grade passage and then 10 comprehension questions to answer based on the reading. As you can see from the data, he was making growth. I showed him the data I was keeping. I think this made him try harder to increase his scores each time. I think that Andrew did great in utilizing the closed reading strategies when reading for understanding. I think the next steps for him would be to increase the difficulty of the reading passages and decrease the amount of support. It needs to be a careful balance. He has been having success and seeing growth. If the difficulty or support overwhelms him again, he may just give up or quit trying so hard. One thing that I did provide Andrew with is a closed reading card, and I've been talking a lot about the first lesson that we implemented and then showing the data and that has been between 2 different lessons, but multiple times of like we did the second lesson twice. One thing I implemented in the second lesson is a card that has all of the closed reading steps. And in that lesson, he was able to do those without me giving him prompts and guiding him. So that's us decreasing the amount of supports for him. So in the future, if he can keep up with the closed reading strategies, because that is something that's a tool that we gave for him to use on his own, and he continues to increase the difficulty of the reading passages, I believe that Andrew can have significant success in reading comprehension. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. I hope my findings were interesting to you, and I hope you can add this information to your teacher toolbox in the future.